And it's actually one of the only things that will help you move past the past is forgiveness. And forgiveness will set you free. When you forgive someone else, you free them of the trouble that they've caused. But you also free yourself of the clinging that you've had to the past. Forgiveness will set you free. Consider what it is that you truly need for forgiveness. And it may be that you need that person to really acknowledge the damage or the hurt that they've caused. Welcome back to the Embodied Relationship Podcast with Brady Mac. I'm of course your host, Brady Mac, and this is a place where we talk about all things intimacy, conscious love, relationships, embodiment, and family union. Thanks so much for being here. Today's episode is all about understanding if you should leave your marriage. And I'll say marriage, but it also could be long-term relationship. And this is a big decision to make. If you're watching this episode, it may be that you're at the point of, I need to leave my marriage or long-term relationship, or it may be that you've considered it at times, or it may be that you haven't really thought about it, but maybe deeper in your subconscious, there's been wondering. And so anywhere along that journey of any of those stages, if you're there, just know that you're in the right place. My goal today is to empower you to make the right decision for you at this time with your current partner. And I don't have a goal here, just so you know. I often say this to my clients when I work with couples. I say my job is not to keep you together. My job is to liberate you both. So taking away some of the potential self-judgment around what it means around leaving your marriage, just know that that very well could be the right decision for you. It also could be the not best decision for you. It also could be that your marriage could 100% be saved and be everything that you've ever dreamed of it to be, but you just don't know exactly how to do that first or right now. So firstly, I'm going to give you some opportunity to explore that question for yourself. Secondly, I'm going to point you towards some resources. And thirdly, I am going to encourage you to continue to listen in deeply to what your heart's truth is. So the first thing that I want to share with you is you are the owner of your own heart, and you are the sole person who is responsible for that heart. You know, you're the CEO of your relationship, and the job role of a CEO of any company, of any business, is really to make tough decisions. It makes tough decisions around hiring or firing people, around the direction of the business, around where and how they spend their finances. So, you know, it's really just all about choice. And I want you to know, firstly, that you have conscious choice. If you want to leave your marriage or long-term relationship, you can leave. Like that is very much within your wheelhouse. And it may not seem like it is at times, because there could be tons of other layers of complexity that are stopping you from getting there. But ultimately, you do have that choice. You can leave at any time. You also could choose to make things work. So even in the moments where it feels like this is never going to change, things seem impossible, you have the power within you to create change, not only for yourself, but in another. And the way that we do that is through inspiration, right? It's not through more criticism or more blame or more judgment. It's through inspiration is how we really create change in another. And inspiration takes us making a firm decision and sticking to it, and that's inspiring for other people. And when we have enough inspiration, enough momentum within our own decision, other people get enrolled in that process and will join us in that process. So you are the CEO of your decisions here, right? You are the one that's making these choices. You are the one that decides the direction of your relationship. And of course, you're working with another, but you also have the power to, well, just that, work with the other. So let's consider how in the partnership of your relationship you can work together. And that's going to feed into some of this other stuff. So the thing about being the CEO of your relationship is you kind of like, you're in this very responsible role, right? Like I just gave you a ton of responsibility by saying you can leave your marriage or you can inspire and make things work. And there's a lot of contrast between those two. And you may be sitting there thinking like, okay, like I wasn't trained for this, you know? Like I was never given that responsibility before, or when did I even get that responsibility? When no one gave me notification, no one gave me training, no one told me how to do that. Like, what the heck? So it's like you're at this top level CEO role of your relationship with zero training. So it's important for you to remember that the role of a CEO is not to do all of the work, right? It's not for you to manage every single thing. It's actually to implore other people to do those jobs for the flow of the business, for the flow of your relationship. So, of course, one thing that you could do is hire a coach or a facilitator. I, of course, offer a training. It's a 6-week program where I work with couples where we sort out some of these bigger questions. You don't have to come to me. There's plenty of amazing coaches out there, but it's important to bring someone else in to support you to do what it is that you need to do in your relationship. It also may be, a lower cost option is inviting or imploring your partner to participate in that conversation, or your kids, or your friends, or your family. So there's many options here. You don't have to use a coach. It's useful to, because you're paying someone to do one thing and just completely be on your team in an unbiased way to make sure that you're making the right decision. So that would be my recommendation, but there are other ways to train yourself to fulfill the role of CEO of your own relationship. But whatever you do, you've got to get some sort of training. You've got to get some sort of training because this is a high-level role. So make sure that you are stepping into that role with confidence, right? That you feel like, yes, I am making the right decision here. The second piece that I kind of touched on, but I want to really emphasize, is bringing your partner into this conversation. Because not only are you the CEO of your relationship, but they are the CEO of their relationship. And you two are actually partners here. So it's important that you bring your partner into this conversation. And you're not just thinking, I should leave my marriage, I should leave my marriage, I should leave my marriage, but never actually speaking that out loud. Your partner might be completely clueless that you're even having these feelings. And that's not on them. That's on you for not being able to speak it, for not being able to share this with them. You gotta give them a chance. And what I see in almost every human, I've studied human behavior for a really long time. What I see in humans is when you give them the chance to meet something that they just can meet, a hurdle that they can just get over, they'll almost always step up to the plate. But it's got to be within their wheelhouse, right? So if in your head you're thinking, I have to leave my marriage, I have to leave my marriage, I have to leave my marriage, That's a pretty big decision, right? And you haven't really given them maybe much choice in that. So what you need to do is start with a bit of a smaller conversation. What is it that you're seeing within the other or within your own being that has led you to that point? So you can start with a much smaller, much easier to broach conversation, which is just how you feel in the moment. And it might be that you feel abandoned by your partner. You might feel not noticed by your partner. You might feel not free when your partner's around, or you might feel anxious around your partner, or you might feel whatever it is. It's how you feel. And it's really important that you stick to what it is that you feel, not what your partner is doing, but what you feel when they're doing that. And that way you're staying empowered, right? You're staying in, this is my experience. This is how I feel when I receive this stimulus, when you don't pick up your dirty socks, or when you leave the garage door open, or when you forgot to pick up the kids, right? When that happens, I feel like I trust you less. And so that's really you owning your experience and giving them an opportunity to understand you better, to understand that, oh, me leaving the garage open isn't just my fault of not leaving the garage open. It's also affecting my partner in this way that really lets her lose trust in me. Now, what I could consider doing next time I come in is making sure, double checking that I've closed the garage. Not only because now the garage is closed and everything in there is safe, but also I've let my partner know that what I've done is going to keep our family safe. And so there's this funny thing that happens in humans, that we're less likely to commit to ourselves, but more likely to commit to another person for something. So if closing the garage means that my stuff is safe, that's one thing. If closing the garage means that my whole family is safe, I'm much more likely to close the garage. So give your partner an opportunity to change, right? Tell them how their behavior is affecting you. And this takes vulnerability, because you really got to share. I'm hurt in this way. I'm hurt when you leave the garage door open. Fill in the blank. Might not be the garage door. It might be something else, but just continue to notice how you feel and speak to how you feel. Sometimes we forget that other people actually want to know how we feel, that our feelings aren't a burden, that us speaking our feelings is completely valid. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that the other person has to do something to fix it. Just being able to speak our feelings is like a beautiful, beautiful expression of sharing us, sharing our heart, sharing our soul, giving the other person opportunity to connect with that. Giving the other person an opportunity to connect with that. And it may even be useful to say that, hey, listen, there's nothing that you have to do about this, but I just want to express how I feel right now. If you could just listen and not fix it or give any advice, I just need to share. Can you listen to how I feel? Beautiful setup and beautiful then expression of your heart. So we gotta give our partners a chance with these big decisions, right? We gotta give them a chance to come in to the conversation, to understand how they're affecting us. The next piece is considering, how am I the creator of this? Whatever it is that I'm experiencing that's bothering me in marriage or is not working for me in marriage, how have I co-created that? Right? I really want you to be able to stay in not blaming. Anytime we blame, we're being lame. Blame, be lame. We're giving away our power. We're saying, you did that to me. That affected me in that way. That's outside of me. And there's nothing that I can do about it. But when we start to co-create all of our life's experiences, we understand that somehow, some way, we've invited that in, right? Now, I'm not talking about like abusive relationships and people who have extreme, abuse issues. That could be, someone else's free choice and will to actually assert themselves in a violent way. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about the general stuff that happens in marriage and in relationship that we don't enjoy, or we feel hurt from, or just doesn't work for us. How have we invited that in some way? How have we allowed for our partner to show up in that way for so long? How have we allowed for our partner to show up for so long in that way? How can we rewrite that pattern? Well, we can rewrite that pattern by sharing how it's affecting us and how we would like to see something different. Again, not in a way that we're blaming, in a way that we're inspiring, right? Give you an example. There was a time when Loa and I were in a conflict, and I had raised my voice, and I wasn't feeling heard. And I really, I really raised my tone, my voice. I was angry because I wasn't being heard. And what happened in that was she beautifully and softly explained, hey, I'm not willing to receive that right now. I'm not willing to receive the way that you're speaking to me. And I feel really hurt by that. That's really triggering. I wouldn't like to receive your tone of voice or your volume of voice in that way. And I want us to be able to speak to each other and hear each other. And she said, and I'm sorry for not hearing what it was that you had to say. How can I understand you more? And the purpose of wanting to understand you more and wanting to not have you yell at me is so that we can be closer together. Now that brings us really close, right? Because one, she said what isn't working for her. Two, she's provided a pathway forward as we want to change the tone of our voice. And three, she's made it inspiring. She said that I want us to come closer together. I want us to understand each other. And that changes the game. It changes everything, right? That's real leadership. When we take ownership for how we've invited or allowed that in, and then we create a change. But with change, we need to make it inspiring, because change is difficult for humans. So we need to have something that's exciting about that change and not scary. The next one is considering, if something has hurt us in relationship, what it is that we need for forgiveness. If something's hurt us in relationship, what do we need for forgiveness? And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes we think we've forgiven someone, but really what we've done is we've just moved past it. Which means that sting, that hurt from the past, is now present in the now. So when we think about any time that you were hurt, someone cheated on you, someone spoke to you in a way that you didn't like, someone forgot to pick up the organic oat milk, whatever it is, what is it that you truly need to regain trust with that person and to truly forgive them? What is it that you need from that person to regain trust? And it might be a lot. It might be years. of seeing them show up in a certain way. It might be years of them being sober or being committed to you, or being at home when they say they're going to be home, being present when they say they're going to be present. Just know that it's not too big of an ask, but rather what it is that you need is really valid. And it's actually one of the only things that will help you move past the past, is forgiveness. And forgiveness will set you free. When you forgive someone else, you free them of the trouble that they've caused, but you also free yourself of the clinging that you've had to the past. Forgiveness will set you free. Consider what it is that you truly need for forgiveness. And it may be that you need that person to really acknowledge the damage or the hurt that they've caused. Maybe that you need that person to show up in a certain way. What is it that you truly need for forgiveness? Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's big. It could be something abusive, would be a bigger example. It could be something small, like it's just been a long time since we made love in an intimate way, and I have resentment towards you for that. I would like to forgive you for that. Forgiveness will set you free, but you gotta keep the water clean. You gotta continue to forgive each other and to continue to consider what it is that you truly need for forgiveness, not just for the sake of moving past the thing, but actually moving through the thing that caused the damage in the first place. So you gotta find a way to forgive each other. Keep the water clean that you're swimming in. Don't pollute it. You can turn a blind eye at the plastic in the ocean, but it doesn't make it go away. You really got to face it at some point and say, what I need for a clean ocean to swim in is this plastic to be removed. What is it that you need to truly remove that plastic? And whatever it is, there may be one thing, or there may be a list of things. So this all happens at a subconscious level, right? We hold on to resentment and we don't forgive the person. But sometimes we don't even speak about it because we've kind of moved past it. So what I want you to do is write down a list of all of the things that you are blaming your partner for. And make this a long list. It may be 20, 30 things. All the things that you're blaming them for, consciously or subconsciously. And take a good hard look at that list. That might be what it is that you have to share with your partner. The list of all of those things that you're blaming them for. Because they might not even know that you're blaming them for doing these things. But subconsciously you've got this programming of blaming you. Alongside that list of the blame that you're asserting towards them, it's important for you also to blame them for all of the ways in which that is supportive to you. In all of the ways in which they've taught you lessons through blaming, or through the harm that they've caused, rather. Write a list of all of the ways that they've loved you, or they've taught you how to love yourself more. So when we blame someone, we can also blame them for all the things that we appreciate about them. And it doesn't take away from the things that we're blaming them for that really hurt us, but it just balances it out. Because if we are blaming them for something, we want to neutralize that blame, right? We want to bring this all back to self-empowerment, to understanding that, yes, what you've done has hurt me, but here's what I'm doing about it, right? This is the important question in psychology. It's not what happened, but what it is that we're choosing to do about what happened. How do we move forward from that? And move forward from that in a way that isn't ignoring it, but really deeply noticing it, and then making a conscious choice around what to do with it. And the last piece, that is maybe the most important, is starting to listen to your body. And what I mean by listen to your body is listen to the sensations that your body is sending you, the signals that your body is sending you. When you're in a room with your partner, or you're in a room and your partner walks into a room, or they leave a room, what sensations do you experience in your body? Are you on high alert when they walk in? Are you relaxed? Are you happy and feeling a warmth in your heart when they walk in? Whatever it is that you experience in your body, I want you to listen even deeper to it and know that it's truth, right? Your body is infinitely wiser than you are. Sorry, it's true. Your body, your biology has been around for millions of years, and it is infinitely wiser than your 29-year-old self that thinks they know better than their biology. Listen to your biology. Listen to the signals and the sensations that it's sending you around your relationship. What is it that you really feel? Not in terms of emotion or thought. What is it that you really feel in terms of sensations in your body around your partner? Of course, coming back to the empowerment piece, now what would you like to do with those sensations? Because if I know anything, I know that my body sensations are truth. If I really listen to my body, it really knows. And done are the days of bypassing the feelings and warning signs and signals that our body is sending us. Of course, we got to listen to certain parts of the body and consider, what part of it are we listening to? Deep embodiment knows how to listen to the heart. Right? That might be a hand on the heart. A deeper listening to what it is that the heart is saying. What it is that the heart is yearning for. What does your heart truly want? Of course, that might be different than what the mind really wants, or different than what maybe the taste buds want. Sometimes the taste buds want lots of sugar. And then if we listen to, say, the belly, it wants lots of leafy greens, vegetables. So being aware of what part of my being or my body am I really listening to? And then how can we listen to the deeper parts of self, right? The heart is a pretty deep place to listen to. The heart, the gut, belly. These are deeper parts of self. And in a later podcast, I'll talk to how we can listen to even deeper parts of ourself and even the heart and the gut. But in your relationship, I want you to get curious. What does your heart really want? What does your heart really ask for? And listen into that. I hope that these were tremendously helpful for you for making the decision of whether or not you should leave your marriage or not, Remember that this isn't a decision that you have to make right away. It doesn't have to go one way or the other, but rather give yourself time. Let this question be a dance. You're not just doing it. You're not just leaving your marriage or staying. You're dancing with it, with this curiosity, this question, and figuring out what it is that your body, your heart really wants, how it would like to move forward for life. And how it would like to move forward might be that it's not ready to make a decision and it wants some extra support, some extra help. If that's the case, seek support. If that's the case, bring this up with your partner. Ask them a little bit more about their experience. Share a little bit more about your experience on a deeper level from here. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, I would love to hear from you. Please pop them in the chat or the comment section below. Please remember to subscribe to this podcast so that we can remain in contact, so that I can share more useful embodiment tips and tricks for your relationship. Sending you lots of love and clear decision making. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Hello, you beautiful souls. Thank you for listening to the Embodied Relationship Podcast with Brady Mac. I want to introduce to you a program for those of you who are in relationship, who are potentially married or just in a longer term relationship and might be feeling stuck or uncertain or simply craving more intimacy in your long-term relationship. The program that I would love to introduce to you is my signature program, which is the Embodied Relationship Council. And this is a journey where you get to embark on opening the heart and exploring the power of mindfulness, emotional healing, as well as the science of lasting connection. And it's not just about the spark, it's about creating conscious love that evolves over time and actually thrives with more time together. And so this is a space for conversation for you and your partner to come together and to experience what it's like to grow together in love and understand the warm, loving embrace of each other's souls. Through the joys, through the challenges, we learn how to overcome all of this through conscious love. So if you're craving a love that really feels like home, a connection that nourishes your heart, I implore you to check out Embodied Relationship Council. And let's deep dive into your soul's growth, your soul's liberation, and the magic of conscious love together. If you're interested in joining the Embodied Relationship Council, click the link in the show notes, and I look forward to seeing your application come in. Peace and love, everybody.